In March 2019, I was the first to make a video on the Division 2 poster that you find in one of the buildings that had this Viking-like character holding an apple of Eden with the text Valhalla. Well, now we learned that this was actually unintentional and not supposed to tease the next Assassin's Creed game at all. So, pretty interesting, right? So let's talk about that. I got some new gameplay details, like regarding the size of our raiding party, a tool we can use, and way more. A like, as always, would be super appreciated. And let's go. And by the way, totally enter my giveaway for a 2020 game of your choice on your platform of choice if you haven't already. The link is in the pinned comment. You have to be a subscriber of the channel before you enter, and you can win Valhalla if you want as well. I will reach out via the mail. Good luck. And if you follow this channel for a while, then you might remember this video that I posted 13 months ago. There were rumors about Assassin's Creed Legion. Funny how that turned out to be the name for the new Watch Dogs game instead. No, but a lot of people thought that the next Assassin's Creed would go to ancient Rome and finish the ancient trilogy. But then this poster appeared in the Division 2 that just came out with this Viking guy carrying the Apple of Eden, and it even had the text, the myth of Odin, fate of the gods, Ragnarok on the bottom left of the poster, and again Valhalla on top. Well, now Darby, the narrative director on the game, said to Steve Iver, and I will link to their article in the video description, "You know what is crazy about that? That was a complete coincidence. They just wanted to put in some Nordic culture. It had nothing to do with us." And sure, I believe Darby that he is telling the truth, but it's also hard to imagine that this can be coincidence because of the artifact that this guy is carrying. Like, no way around it, it looks like an Apple of Eden. I don't think this game had a name at the time. We always work with a code name and we always have a few ideas for names. We decide on one eventually. But that was very funny. The image that's in the poster has nothing to do with our game. Like, we don't see kingdoms somewhere on this picture, and that is the code name for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We only see Valhalla and Ragnarok, and those are of course names just associated with the Norse mythology. So sure, those names make sense to be on the poster, but that apple, like, you would think that maybe this artist at Massive must have heard from some colleague at Ubisoft Montreal that he or she was working on this Viking Assassin's Creed, you would think, right? Because that game was in development for more than a year by the time that the Division 2 came out. So people sent the poster to me, and then I started digging and found this old concept art that you've likely seen already, right? And if we look at it now and put it next to an image from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we see a ton of connections. And the title of this concept art that Michiel Nucera posted on the internet as his quote personal project was Assassin's Creed Ragnarok, so that's why we assumed that that would be the name. No, but really, if this poster was not in the Division 2, I would not have made my video, and then Jason would not have confirmed that he heard that it was indeed going to be a Viking game. I would love to hear the full story someday, also from the person who actually made this poster. Not sure if we will ever get it, but yeah, we already got a new piece of the puzzle, namely that it was not intended at all. And let's now go to Reddit, because here we have Polnack saying that in this image, Eivor has a rope dart. You see it right here. So maybe this weapon returns in this game. And let's hope that we can still do the awesome moves that we had in Assassin's Creed 3. That Matt beautifully showcases here in his video. I will link, of course, to the full video in the video description. High chance though that in this game we can at least use it to climb the walls of the big fortifications that we should attack. That on 3 Reddit makes a very good point, linking this to the 4 honor levels, where we also used the rope dart to climb the enormous walls of the samurai castles. And makes sense that it's needed to infiltrate these huge fortifications. And what we can also use during raids is this horn that we see in this image, as Access the Animus confirmed on their website. So, likely to, like, announce the attack. Maybe it has some benefits as well. Maybe it buffs your allies or something. Because the thing is, you will have a ton of allies that will help you out in this big open world. And interesting is that we now learned the size of your raiding party, and it's way bigger than I first imagined. YouTuber Julien had a French interview with the producer on the game, also called Julien, where it was confirmed that right now we can have a raiding party of 8 people with us at all times. And they are still tweaking it, so maybe it will change, but right now the party size is 8 and that is huge. In Odyssey we of course had the call to arms ability that would summon one of your lieutenants to fight alongside you for like 30 seconds or so. And now we should have this party of 8 people by our side. And we can of course come across these characters in the story, but also recruit them from other people. Like, that's the online component we of course already talked about before. Meaning that I can create a character that can then join your game. But I, as a creator, also get a reward for the raids that you do with the help of my character. It was also confirmed in that same interview that there's no permadeath for these raid party members. So not like Watch Dogs Legion, where if a character dies, you lose it forever. Now in Valhalla you can even revive them, according to Julien. And it's good to note that there are like 2 different activities. We have the raids that seem to be in the open world, and those will be the smaller hit and run sort of activities where you just steal stuff and bring it back to your settlement. You trigger a raid, you jump off, you go, everything happens during that raid is all a unique package, and it's really quite fun and accelerating, Darby says. But then another activity are the assaults, like the big battles. Odyssey started with this idea with these large-scale battles, conquest battles. We just push that even further, much further, where once you start one of these battles, you are going to be pushed through a series of narrative moments as well as gameplay moments where you feel like you're taking over an area, maybe a fortress or castle. And this really sounds like Shadow of War to me, where you also have these huge siege battles, where you had to capture points inside the castle and then move on to another point and capture that by killing all the enemies inside the circle. I would not be surprised if the structure of these assault battles was similar in Valhalla. We are building on a lot of the things that Odyssey has done, but I'm not going to get into too much detail as to what that is. And Darby said this to GameSpot, and I saw a lot of questions about the mercenary system, but we simply don't know if these roaming bosses will be in Valhalla as well. I really like these sort of bosses in the world that were hunting you and that you had to look out for, and that would also give you a legendary item if you succeeded and killed them. Especially now with a raiding party, I think this would be awesome. Because if you then maybe recruit that mercenary that is hunting you, you can also bring him in your raiding party and then go raid with that person. Origins already had these roaming enemies too, that everyone I think liked, so it would be weird if they did not include a system like it in Valhalla, but we have no official info yet. And we already discussed in a previous video how the skill tree will be similar to Origins and Odyssey, but it will look different. And well, now we learned that there would be 400 points to spend on this skill tree. I think Julien means that in that same interview we discussed before. Like, that's a ton, and it promises a lot for the amount of builds that we can likely create. And also that it will take some time before you get a maxed out character. Maybe that won't even be possible, depending on how you of course earn skill points. In Origins we had the master nodes, where you could put an unlimited amount of ability points in to increase the damage of your melee weapons, for example, by 1%. And in Odyssey we had post-launch the mastery levels that also functioned as an ability point sink and let us increase specific perks, but yeah, that also helped with a ton of specific builds. So curious to see how the skill system in Valhalla will work, but this news of the 400 points is already huge. And fingers crossed that we get a glimpse at the ability point system during the gameplay reveal that is on May 7th, so tomorrow at the time of this recording, or maybe today depending on when you watch this. Anyway, you want to follow me on Twitch to be notified when it happens and see my reaction live. I'll of course do videos here on the channel as well. I hope that the gameplay reveal will be similar to Origins and Odyssey. Both had a 5-minute or so gameplay walkthrough, and they also actually went over some of the menus. So fingers crossed that it happens here as well, because that would tell us a lot about the game. And then at the end we would get like a cool compilation of teases from story moments and bosses. So let's hope that's also in this trailer. And Ubisoft has done it for many of their other games, so I totally think that this is the type of trailer that we can expect. I'm super hyped and you likely as well, right? So let's watch it together, and if you don't have the time, don't worry, I will have the gameplay up on the channel and of course a breakdown and way more. So it's gonna be good, and if you're not subscribed yet to the channel, totally do it to miss nothing regarding Assassin's Creed Valhalla. A like on this video would be awesome, and I got a big video on the channel as well talking about the massive open world and what we know about the setting. You can watch that by clicking on the screen, and there's just way more content on the channel. So check it out if you haven't already, and I will speak to you next time. Goodbye!